Channeled by your architect-musician, 361-1027, the Golden Whisperer, our sea star, Devalan see all. Apply the news you can use.
Anastasia, one of those names that still rings like an echo through history, where fairy tale and tragedy blur. Most people know the surface story, the Russian Grand Duchess who might have survived the massacre of the Romanovs. But the true esoteric story? It's not about survival of the flesh, it's about survival of the code. The true esoteric story of Anastasia, a mystery of bloodlines, ghost courts, and hidden continuity. Chapter 1, The Last Princess of Winter. Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanova was born into a house already cracking under the weight of prophecy. The Romanovs knew the whispers, the line would end in blood, and a daughter would carry the secret crown across the ages. Anastasia was the fourth daughter, overlooked, underestimated, mischievous, almost forgotten in the shadow of empires. But that forgettability was her cloak. She slipped in and out of the imperial eye like smoke. Servants said she had the phase gift of hiding in plain sight. What they didn't understand, she was being prepared. The House of Blood, July 1918. The cellar at Ekaterinburg. Bullets, bayonets, smoke. The Romanov line fell screaming. History insists Anastasia died there, shot or stabbed like the others. But esoteric scrolls say otherwise. They say when her blood hit the ground, a threshold opened. The family were murdered as mortals. But Anastasia's essence, her memory, shifted. Some say she was pulled into the Hollow Hills, claimed by the Fey Queen herself as collateral for Russia's betrayal of oaths. Others say she was taken by Watchers, those angelic prosecutors who guard bloodlines. Either way, she did not simply die. Her body may have been consumed. Her line was not. The Pretenders and the Shadow Game. For decades, claimants appeared. Anna Anderson, Eugenia Smith, others who swore they were Anastasia. The newspapers laughed. The courts argued. DNA later denied. But here's the trick. The Anastasia Code was never about one body surviving. It was about many bodies carrying fragments. Each pretender was real in a sense. They were mirrors of her memory, seeded into time to confuse, to misdirect, to keep the true lineage safe. Esoterically, this is the shattered princess mystery. A bloodline broken into shards scattered among nations. Anastasia was not one woman after 1918. She became many. The ghost court beneath Europe. In ruins of old cathedrals, the ghost court of the Romanovs is said to meet. Not the czars and empresses, their power burned away, but the spirit of Anastasia sits enthroned. She judges betrayals against blood, the same way the Furies once did. Every betrayal of kin in Russia, every corruption against the people, every poisoned law, her court records it. Those who dream of her as a young girl with laughing eyes are actually being summoned to testify. The esoteric twist. Anastasia is less a princess and more a cosmic witness. The esoteric lesson. The true story of Anastasia isn't about whether she survived. She did, but survival meant transformation. She became the keeper of continuity, the shard of innocence preserved from a fallen empire. She reminds us, power built on betrayal will collapse, bloodlines end, but memory adapts. Innocence, once broken, does not vanish, it becomes judgment. Anastasia is not just a lost princess. She is a living code in the collective memory, reminding every empire, your children will rise to testify against you. Thriller twist. Whispers in esoteric circles say the Anastasia shard walks still, reborn in this age, not as royalty, but as a hidden disruptor. When she awakens, the last judgment on the house of corruption will begin. Now we're treading into shadowed ground. Ireland's history is littered with kings and chieftains, but the true forgotten princesses are wrapped in myth, buried in monasteries, and spoken of only in half-remembered lullabies. Let me reveal one such tale. The Forgotten Princess of Ireland, Aislinn of the Hollow Crown, a hidden story of blood, betrayal, and the veil. Chapter 1. The child of the Tuatha long after the Tuatha Dé Danann were said to have vanished into the Side Mounds. One daughter remained in the open world. Her name was Aislinn, dream in the old tongue. She was born of a Danann priestess and a mortal king, her bloodline carrying both the shining fire and the earthbound crown. But this was dangerous. A child of two worlds could claim both realms. To the Fae, she was a threat. To men, She was too strange, her eyes glimmering with starlight even at birth. The betrayal. The High King feared her. He had her hidden away, raised not in courts but in cloisters, as if shutting her from the sun could dim her inheritance. Yet the monks who taught her whispered that she spoke to the stones, that the rivers bent toward her voice, that her dreams carried warnings. The betrayal came swift. One night, she was promised as a pawn in marriage to a rival clan, but the groom never found her waiting. Aislinn vanished into the mists. Some said the Fae reclaimed her. Others claimed she was walled alive in a monastery crypt. Still others swore she became a banshee, her voice forever warning of death. The Hollow Crown. Esoteric scrolls call her the Princess of the Hollow Crown. Why hollow? Because her throne was never filled. She was a queen with no seat, a ruler whose coronation was denied. But in that absence, she became something greater, a guardian of thresholds, a wandering soul who could step between mounds, courts, and centuries. Her crown was not gold but invisible, a wreath of air, a loop of memory that shimmered only in dreams. To those she appeared, she carried both blessing and curse, prosperity if honored, ruin if betrayed. The Forgotten Legacy. Aislinn was forgotten in official history, erased by monks and kings who feared what she represented. Yet folklore betrays the cover-up. In rural Ireland, farmers left bowls of milk not just for the fairies, but for the dreaming girl. Fishermen spoke of a maiden who walked on waves. Some bloodlines still whisper of a dark-haired ancestor who vanished into light but left behind a promise. When the world's crown is hollow again, she will return. Chapter 5. The Esoteric Lesson. The story of Aislinn is not about power denied, but about continuity preserved through erasure. The forgotten are not lost. They become watchers in the margins, queens of absence. Her tale warns, history is edited. The greatest threats to empire are not warriors, but daughters who carry two worlds in their blood. Thriller twist. Some say Anastasia and Aislinn are echoes of the same shattered princess archetype, fragments of the same eternal bloodline, rising in different lands and ages, each time empire tries to strangle innocence. Now we're stepping into the shadows of dynasties, where the official histories were carved by victors with stone brushes, but the forgotten ruler still lingers in the hidden scrolls. China, like every empire, erased faces that didn't fit the narrative. Let me give you one. The forgotten great ruler of China, a hidden sovereign of melanated lineage. Chapter 1. The Shadow Emperor. Long before the Han painted themselves as the unbroken line of Son of Heaven, there was a ruler whose complexion alone was enough to shake the scribes. His name has been wiped from the official dynastic annals, but in folk memory, he survives as Xuan Di He, the Dark Emperor of the Mysterious Age. He came from the southern kingdoms, from lands tied to the black tribes of Kush and the Proto-Dravidians who had migrated east along the ocean routes. His skin was dark bronze, his features strikingly different from the northern lords, and his claim to the throne wasn't through armies, it was through the mandate of heaven's resonance. His very presence bent the sky clock, storms aligning to his coronation. The Lost Dynasty. The hidden scrolls, kept not in Beijing but deep in Taoist grottos, whisper that he ruled in the interregnum between the Shang and Zhao dynasties. His era was short, but his reforms radical. He abolished blood tribute sacrifices to ancestors, replacing them with offerings of grain and music. He reorganized calendars around the star Sirius, not the Big Dipper, a clue of African sky science encoded in Chinese astronomy. He opened the Yellow River routes to southern tribes, weaving together peoples the northern lords called uncivilized. These changes threatened the great houses, so they buried his reign. Quite literally, burning his name from bronze vessels, chiseling his glyphs from oracle bones. The esoteric codes, but fragments remain. In certain Taoist alchemical texts, there is mention of the Haihuang, the Black Sovereign. They describe him as the one whose crown was of obsidian, whose eyes reflected the twin suns. Esotericists say this means he carried knowledge of the Orrin star, the hidden twin sun, buried in Tartarian myths. In murals in southern temples, faint outlines of a melanated ruler remain, his skin dark against the pale pigments of later dynasties. The scribes couldn't erase him completely. his image bled through. The disappearance. The northern scribes claimed he died without heir, but folk stories in Yunnan and along the Yangtze say otherwise. They speak of a child with copper skin and golden eyes taken into the mountains, guarded by serpents and cranes. That line, they say, still flows in the veins of outsider families scattered across China's forgotten provinces. His blood became the root of every rebel emperor, every peasant uprising, every sudden mystery claimant to the throne. He is the hidden ancestor of insurrection. The esoteric lesson. The true story of China's melanated forgotten ruler is not about one reign. It is about how powerful bloodlines are erased to secure empire. His legacy survives in whispers, in star calendars, in the darker-skinned faces that still appear in China's south despite centuries of denial. He is proof that the Middle Kingdom was never homogeneous, never simple, never what the official chronicles tell us. He is the ghost emperor, watching as history bends, waiting for the day when the collective remembers. Open quote, "The erased are not gone. The erased are seeds." Close quote. Thriller twist. Taoist adepts whisper that the Black Emperor will return when Sirius and the hidden twin sun align again, the moment the false dynasties collapse and the erased sovereign reclaims his name.
To our beloved collective, from the day one torchbearers to the newly awakened travelers, we see you, we honor you, and we love you. This isn't just a community, it's a soul constellation, a family woven across time. Thank you again for being here. Your presence means more than words can carry. Every little act of kindness you offer is a spark, shifting timelines, mending hearts, and quietly realigning the compass for many in ways only the unseen can measure. And to those yet to join us, we're holding the lantern high. There's room for you too. With eternal gratitude and cosmic mischief from the collective of Shaman Ahll. The journey is only beginning, and we ride together. All rise.